Hello guys, welcome. Today we are going to look at how to use Visual Basic to design a simple calculator. That's the activity we're going to do today. So before we get on to designing our simple calculator, let's quickly go through the interface of Visual Studio 2013. The one I'm using right now is Visual Studio 2013. So when you launch Microsoft Visual Studio 2013, this is the startup page. Now the startup page, in the middle here we have the start and then the recent. So when you come here under the start, we have new project, we have open project, and then we have open from source control. So the new project is you click on the new project when you are starting an entire project altogether. If you have a project that you are working on and then you saved and you want to continue, you go to open project. It will open the project for you to continue. And then if you have a source control somewhere that you've designed, you can also open it and then continue working on here. At the left hand side here we have our toolbox here. Now it displays all the controls that we are going to use in our development. Every control that we are going to use will appear here. We are not seeing anything because we haven't started a new project yet, or we are not working on any project yet. When you come to the right side, we have our Solution Explorer, and then the Solution Explorer displays every detail about the project that we are working on. Now we know that in Microsoft Visual Studio, a project that you are working on is called a solution. So every detail about a project or every detail about your program that you are designing appears at the Solution Explorer. So quickly, let's go to new project. When we start new project, we will see more things appearing on the interface, and then we'll talk about them. So let's click on new project, and then when you click on new project, a dialog box will appear. When it appears, you have to make sure that you've selected Visual Basic, because we have different languages over there. We have Visual Basic, Visual C#, Visual C++, F#, and so on and so forth. But we are going to develop, or we are going to design Visual Basic Windows application form. So you click on VB, Visual Basic, and then you come to the middle here, you click on Windows Forms application. Now when you come down here, we have the name, location, and then the solution name. So the name that you give to your project will also be the same name for the solution. So let's name it simple calculator. Now because it's a name that we're giving to the project, you don't have to space it. So simple calculator all together like that. Then when you're done giving it a name, you go ahead and click on OK. Then your solution will be created for you. Okay, so as I said earlier, when you start working on your project, at the left side here you see your control box here. So in it you find all the controls that you are going to use for your project. Now we also talked about the Solution Explorer here. Now when you come below the Solution Explorer, we have the properties. Now these properties apply to every control that you click on, or every control that is active. So at the moment, the form that we have here is the active control. So you see that when you come up here, it says form 1. Now these are all the properties that you have concerning the form. So as we start our project, we'll be changing we'll be setting some of the properties for you to see. Now down here we have our output box. So the output box, when you run the program, or when you debug the program, whatever output will be displayed down here. If you have errors in your code, the error messages, the line, and then everything will be displayed down here in the output box for you to see. So and up here we have our menu bar, which consists of file, edit, view, project, and so on and so forth. Right below the menu bar we also have our toolbar, where we have different tools that we can also use in designing or developing our project. So that's a brief description about the interface. So quickly, without wasting much time, let's quickly move on to our project. So now the project that we are going to develop, we are going to go through some process. Personally, I follow this procedure or this process for every project that I create using VB. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to create, or we are going to design our interface. We are going to design our interface. After designing the interface, we will take time to name all the controls that we have on the form. Every control that we are going to use in coding, we are going to name all of them. After naming the controls, the third thing we are going to do is to go to the code view and code our numbers. Since it's a simple calculator that we're going to design, we will code the numbers. After coding the numbers, we will code the operators. After coding the operators, we will test and see whether it's working or not, and then that will be the end of our project. So first, let's quickly go to the designing of the interface. Now the interface solely depends on you, how you want your interface to be like. You have to sit and then think about it, how you're going to design your interface before you even start dragging and then dropping controls onto the form. You have to sit and then plan. Now in more complex programs, the controls you're going to put on the form has to be for example, in a program that you're going to link your VB to a database, then the controls on the form would most likely have to correspond to the tables that you have in your database. So you have to consider that as well. But this is a simple calculator, so it's just the interface that we're going to deal with. All right, so first we are going to work on the form. So since the form is selected, I'll set some few properties of the form. First, I'll change the form border style to none. Yeah, so this is going to do away with, it's going to give me a plain form like this where I can do all my designs for me. Let me also change the back color to I think this should be okay. Aqua should be okay, or let me get a lighter shade of blue. Okay, so I'm going to change the start position as well to center screen. This will let my form appear in the middle of my screen when I run the program. So yeah, I think that's all that I'm going to need for the form. These are the only properties I'm going to set for the form. Now, since I've taken away the control box, I would have to create a close button myself. So I'm going to add a button that will allow I'll use as my close button. So I'll drag and drop a button here, resize it, and then I'll change some few properties of it. First, I'm going to change the back color to red. I'll change the cursor to hand. I'll change the cursor of the button to hand, and then I'll change the flat style to flat. Change the flat style to flat, and then I'll change the full color to white. That should be okay for me. Yeah. Then I'll go down to the text property, and then I'll type X. So this is going to serve as my close button. So something like this should be okay for me. Alright, so let me just position it up here, and then I'm good to go with my close button. Alright, now the next thing I'm going to add is a label. I'm going to add a big label that is going to serve as my display. So where when we type the numbers it will appear, but the label is not adjustable yet. So let me go and change some few properties of the label as well. I'll change the auto size property of the label to false. That should allow me to resize the label. So first change the auto size to false, and this is what we get. Then I'm going to change the border style. I'll change the border style to fixed 3D. I'll change the back color to white. Yeah, so I think this should be okay for me for the display. Let me close it up a bit. Alright, so something like this should be okay. Now I'm going to work on the text properties of the label. So I'll go to font, and then I'll change the font property. I'll change the font style to Times New Roman. So you scroll down to get Times New Roman. Yeah, okay, Times New Roman. I'll change the size to 36. 36. Yeah, that should be okay. All right. Now I need to align it to the alright, so let's go back to the properties. So the next property we're going to change is the text property. I'm going to change the text property of the label from label 1 to 0 by default, and then I'll change the text align property as well to I'll change the text align property as well to this so that it will align at the right. Alright, so this is our display. Now we're going to add our buttons, and then we're going to so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the properties of one button, and then I'll just copy and paste the buttons so that I'll get the sizes that I want. So the first button I'm going to change the text property of the button to 0. Yeah, 1, and then I'll change some properties as well. I'll change the font. Let me go to font. Okay, so I'll change font to Times New Roman. Times New Roman. I'll change the size to 24, and that should be okay. Yeah. I'll go and change the cursor property to hand, and then let me change the back color to white. I think white should be okay. Okay. Yeah, white. I think white is okay. And then flat style. I'll change flat style to pop up. Yeah, so I think this should be okay. This is okay, so I'll just align it here, and then since I've set the properties already, I'll just have to copy and paste. So I'll press the Control key, and then I'll double click and drag to get another one, double click and drag again to get another one. So these three, I'll just highlight all of them and drag again to get this, and then this. All right, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, right? All right, 9. So I'm going to drag another one down here. That should be my 0. Yes, 0. And then this one should be my clear. Then okay, like this. All right, so let me just change the text properties so that I'll see how many of these buttons that I'm going to need. So this one is 0 1 0. This one is supposed to be dot. This one clear, so I'll just use C. This one 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. All right, so we have our numbers here. This is going to be plus multiplication, division, and subtraction. Okay, so then we are left with 2 more. So let me just drag this one here. This is going to be plus, and this will be equal to. Okay, all right, so this is how our interface is this is how our interface looks like. Now, as I said earlier, the interface is solely to your discretion. How you want it to be, it solely depends on you. All right, now since we are done with our interface, the next thing to do is to name all the controls that we have on the interface. So let's quickly go through it. We'll start with the first button, and then we'll go to the text properties, the properties of the button. Now then the property that we are changing is the name property of every control. So go to the name property, you'll see the default name over there, so clear it and then give the name that you want to give to the particular control. So since it's a button, we start with the prefix btn, and then since it's the close button, I'll just add close. So we have btn close. So we've given the name of that particular control. Now the next one is the label. You click on the label, clear the name, and then since it's a label, we start with the prefix lbl display. So this is lbl display. Then the rest of the buttons will be btn. This one is 7, so btn 7, btn 8, btn 9. You click on the next one, btn times, btn times. The next one is btn 4, btn 5, btn 6, btn divide. I'll use divide, so btn divide. The next one is btn plus, btn 1. The next one is btn 2, btn 3, btn minus, btn 0, btn dot, btn clear, and then btn equals, btn equals. So we have named all our controls. Let's quickly write the code for the close button, and then we will test how our interface will look like. We'll run we'll debug and see how our interface will look like. So let's go to the button, the close button, double click on it. It will take you to the code behind, and then we just write just a single line of code, me dot close. Me refers to the form itself, so dot close means that we want to close the form, and then you press enter. So this is just a single line of code we are writing for the close button. So you save and then you debug, and let's see. So this is how our interface looks like. You see, it's not draggable, and these are the buttons that we have now. At the moment, these buttons don't there is no code behind it, so when you click on it, it doesn't respond. But when you click on the close button, the program closes, and then that is, so our close button works perfectly. All right, now since we've named our labels, the next thing for us to do is to code the numbers and then the signs. So as we've opened the code behind already, let's go there. Okay, let's come back to the interface. Then we are going to code for the number 1. So you double click on the 1 button, and then you type this code. We want to lbl display dot text is equal to 1. Okay, so we are saying that when we are typing this code under the click event of the btn1. So what this means is that when you click on the btn1, this number in the double quote should appear in what lbl display. That's why we have lbl display dot text is equal to 1. So we're going to copy this code and then we will paste it under the rest of the buttons. So you go back to the design view and then you double click on the btn to paste the code that you copied, but this time around we are changing it from 1 to what, 2. Go back to the design again, double click on 3, paste, change 1 to what, 3. Go back. So we're doing this for the rest of the numbers. So paste, and then we change to 4, paste, and then we change to 5. Go back, double click on 6, paste, and then change to 6. We do the same for 7. For 7, we do the same for 8. We do the same for 9. For 9, and then we'll do the same for 0 as well. So let's just, okay, so 0. All right, so we are done for the numbers. Now let's go back and then we are going to code for the operators now. So let's start with the multiplication, and then we double click. So we are under the click event of the btn times. Now before you do all these things, we should have declared some variables up here, which I forgot. So let's quickly do that. So come to the public class form1 and direct, and then let's declare these variables. So we have them, we will declare first num as decimal. All right, so that's our first declaration. We will also declare so them second num also as decimal. Then we will declare operator, because you're going to need the operator as also them operation sign as string. Yeah, let's declare the operation sign as string, and we are done. So these are the 3 declarations that we are going to make. We are making this because when you enter the first number, we will pick it and store it in the first num, and then when you enter the sign, we'll pick the sign and store it in the operation sign, and then when you enter the second number, we'll pick it and then store it in the second number. That's what we're going to use for our how to call it, calculations. So since we are done with the declarations, let's go back to our times. Now we are going to code. When you click on the times button, what should happen? When you click on the times button, what should happen? So when you click on the times button, what's going to happen is that you have a number in the display, the label display already. So what I want the program to do is that when you click on the times button, the number you have in the display should be stored in first number, and then the sign, that the operator that you clicked on, should also be saved and stored in the operation sign. So these are the 2 things that we are going to do, and then we will clear the display label, we'll clear it and then reset it. So these are the codes that's going to do that. So first we will say that first num is equal to lbl display dot text. That's the first line of code, and then we will say operation sign is equal to, since it's times, we will assign the asterisk to it. So, and then we will claim, we'll reset lbl display dot text to reset it back to 0 is equal to 0. All right, so these are so that it will allow us to enter the second number. So when you click on the times button, first we'll save first number to first num. We'll save this, we'll assign the asterisk to the operation sign, and then we'll clear it. So we're going to copy these set of codes because we're going to type the same thing for the rest of the signs. So we did times. Let's double click on the division and then paste it there. This time round we change this to division sign. Go back to the display, into the design view, double click for minus, paste it there, and then change the sign to the minus sign. Go back to the design, double click on the plus, paste the set of codes, and then change it to addition. Go back. Okay, so we've done for all the four. We've done for all the four. So we've typed the code for the numbers and then the operators as well. Now let's go to the equal to sign. So double click on equal to sign, and then this is where our calculation is going to be done. Now first, when we click on the equal to sign, what we want to do is we want to assign this number in the label to second number, and then after assigning to the second number, we will check the operator, and then we will perform the appropriate operation for the what that the user chose. All right, so this is the code that we're going to write. So when it is clicked, we say second num is equal to lbl display dot text, and then we write our if statement. So we'll go ahead and check. So if operation sign equals let's start with addition, equals addition, then we say lbl display dot text is equal to first num plus second num So that is that for the addition. So else if operation sign is equal to next one is minus. If operation sign is equal to minus, then lbl display dot text is equal to first num minus second num. Else if operation sign is equal to multiplication then lbl display dot text is equal to first num times second num. Then the last one, else if else if operation sign equals division, then LBL display dot text is equal to first num over second num. Yeah, so that is that. Else means that the user probably didn't select any sign, so we will say LBL display dot text is equal to, then we'll say invalid operation or something, anything you want to display the invalid operation. Okay, so that is that for our code. So let's quickly test our debug and see how it will look like. All right, so first you see 1 2 3, you see all our numbers are responding, so if we say 2 plus 5, we get 7. So 1 times 3 gives us 3. 3 times 2 gives us 6. All right, and then we have 6 divided by 4, giving us 1.5. all right, so 0 plus 5 gives us plus 8 is equal to 13, divided by 3. Okay, so plus 4 gives us, okay, plus 6 gives us. All right, so everything is working perfectly. Now the only thing that is not working is when we want to declare. We haven't typed the code for clear the dot, and then when we want to repeat the numbers. So let's quickly go to repeating the numbers, and then we will code for the clear as well, and then lastly we will code for the dot. All right, so let's close it and go back to the clear. All right, so let's go to the design view. For the clear, the only thing, so double click on clear, the only thing we are doing is that when you click on the clear, we are resetting everything back to 0. So it's just LBL display dot text is equal to, then we set it to 0. That's all. So that is that for the clear button. And then let's go back to the numbers. Let's go back to number 1. Now when you want the numbers to repeat, first all that we're going to do is we're going to concatenate. So we will check whether the display, the label display is 0 or not. If it's 0, then we just assign the number 1 to it. If there is a number in there, maybe 5, then you click on 1. Then it means you want to concatenate 5 and 1 to give you maybe 51. So what we do is we'll just concatenate the two numbers. That's all. So this is the code. First you say if LBL display dot text, if LBL display dot text is less than or greater than 0, then we say LBL display dot text plus equal to this is 1, so 1 plus equal to 1. Yeah, else so we'll just cut this side and then paste it under the else. All right, so this is how the code should be for repeating the numbers or concatenating the numbers. So let's just copy and then paste it for the rest of the numbers. So when you go to 2, you paste it there, and then you change 1 to 2. You change 1 to 2, come here, change 1 to 2 as well. Then let's go to 3 and do the same thing for 3. Paste, change 1 to 3, change 1 to 3. We'll do the same for the 4, button 4. Paste, change 1 to 4. We'll change 1 to 4. And then we do the same for 5. Change 1 to 5. Change 1 to 5 as well. Then we do the same for 6. 6 to 7. 7. 7. 8. 8. And then the last one is 9. Okay, there is 0, so 9. 9, and then the last one is 0. So okay, so if it's greater, we'll concatenate with 0, else we just assign 0 to it. Okay, so that is that. This should take care of the concatenation of the numbers. So let's see, we've done almost everything. The last thing that's left for us to do is the dot. So let's double click on it, and then now what we are going to do is to check whether we have dots there already. If not, then we'll just concatenate the dot. That's also with the dot we see if not, you open your bracket, so lbl display dot text. If not, lbl display dot text dot contain. All right, so we want to know whether it contains dot or not. So dot contain. Then so if it doesn't contain, open another bracket. If it doesn't contain a dot, then we can now go ahead and concatenate our dot. So if not, lbl display dot text dot contain, then we will say lbl display dot text plus equal to dot. All right, so this also takes care of the dot that we are going to use. So save your work, and then let's go and debug the work and see how it will look like right now. So okay, so now we have 0. Let's check for the dots. Dot 2, 0, dot 2, dot 1, dot 1. Okay, so clear takes us back 1, 2.6. okay, so our clear, our dot and our clear works perfectly. All right, so since there is dot already, it won't appear again. So that is that. All right, so dot works perfectly. Now let's see the number repetition as well. 5, 1, 4, 5. Okay, so that one also works perfectly well. So this plus 200 should give us, all right, so now our simple calculator works perfectly well. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals, okay, so 5 plus 8 gives us 15, plus 5 gives us 20, times 6 gives us 120, and so on and so forth. All right, so that is that. All right, now let me just check something right now. 5 divided by 0 equal to, all right, nothing happens. Now we all know that okay, so we get an error. So we have to code for this error. We have to handle this particular error. So let's quickly go back and handle the error. Now we know that any number divided by 0 is math error, so we just have to do some little coding here. Under the division sign, we'll just write another if condition inside the division operation. So let's come down here and then say if second number if second num is equal to 0, if second number is equal to 0, then we'll display LBL display dot text is equal to let's say error, math error. All right, else it means the number is not 0, so we can just copy this, cut it, and then come and paste it here. This should take care of our problem. All right, so save and then debug again, and let's see. So 5 divide 0 should give you math error. Yay! All right, so that is that for our simple calculator. As I said early on, the design is solely you. Think about how you want your simple calculator to look like, and then design it to suit your preferences. All right, so this brings us to the end of today's activity, using VB to design simple calculator. All right, so thank you for being with us, and then stay tuned for our next activity. Thank you.